They said his heart was buried with the past, but the whimper beneath the twisted oak proved something inside him still beat, still fought, still remembered how to hope. What happened next? Well, he didn't just free a foal. He broke his own chains of grief, silence, and years spent pretending he was too broken to care again. In doing so, he didn't just save a life. He reclaimed his own. If this story made your breath catch, your eyes blur, or your hands tremble, if it reminded you that even the most shattered soul can still be someone else's only chance, then please hit subscribe, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, okay? And share this with someone who needs to remember. You are never too hurt to heal, and never too lost to be found. The wind howled low across Redwater Flats that morning, not fierce, not wild, just hollow, like the land itself was holding its breath. And Jesse Miklo stood on his porch, coffee gone cold in his chipped tin cup. Ears pricked, not for cattle, not for coyotes, but for something thinner, quieter. A sound that didn't belong. A whimper, sigh, almost like a question, whispered into the dirt. I still hear. He followed it, boots crunching over brittle brush, thorns snagging his worn coat, heart hammering not from fear, but from that old, buried instinct, the one that said, if something's hurting out here, you don't walk away. And then he saw it. Beneath the gnarled arms of the storm-split oak, a tiny body, Connie, ribs sharp as fence wire, knees trembling like reeds in a flood, and around its neck a rusted chain tick, cruel, bolted deep into the trees, bark skin raw, scabbed, flaking. This was abandonment with intent. Someone had left this baby to die, alone, forgotten, and yet, those eyes, dull, yes, sunken, yes, but still open, still trying, still blinking up at him, like, if you're real, please, help. Jesse didn't speak. He couldn't. His throat closed tight, jaw clenched so hard it ached, but his hands, they moved, steady, slow, gentle. He knelt, letting the foal see him, smell him. No, he wasn't another shadow with a rope. He brushed dust from its forehead, felt the fever-hot skin beneath the shallow, rattling breaths. And when he whispered, easy now, I got you, the foal didn't pull away, leaned. Just an inch, just enough to say, I believe you. He ran, not jogged, ran, lungs burning, hat flying, back to the barn, snatching the heavy bolt cutters, sprinting again, pulse roaring in his ears. Please still be breathing, please still be there. And when he returned, the foal hadn't moved, hadn't given up. One squeeze of the cutter's groan, S&A-P, the chain fell. And as he lifted that fragile weight into his arms, lighter than a sack of grain, heavier than grief itself, he pressed the trembling body to his chest and whispered into its ear, voice breaking, never again. You hear me? Never again will you be left alone. Back in the warm amber hush of the barn, he cleaned the wounds, mixed warm milk, held the bottle as weak lips sucked to each swallow of victory. Each blink a promise, and as the foal finally slept, curled under a faded quilt, Jesse sat on a hay bale, elbows on knees, staring at the flickering lantern light. And for the first time in 10 winters, he let himself remember her, the daughter whose laugh used to echo in these very rafters, the accident on the ridge road, the silence that followed, the slow closing of his heart like a gate rusted shut, and now his tiny heartbeat against his palm, this stubborn spark refusing to go out. It was NT just saving her. This little ghost he'd named Embrit was pulling him back from the edge of a cliff he'd been standing on for years. Days turned into weeks, sterning and grew stronger, stood taller, took shaky steps, then proud ones, her coat deepening to warm chestnut, her eyes bright, intelligent, trusting. And Jesse, he smiled again, real smiles, not the tired ones he wore for the postman. He talked to her like she understood every word. You and me, we're learning, aren't we? how to trust the ground again, how to believe the sun will rise, how to let someone in. And one evening, as the sky bled gold and violet, a distant thunder rolled not storm, but hooves, fast, wild, rhythmic, and Ember's head snapped up, ears pricked, body trembling not with fear, but with recognition. Over the ridge, he appeared a stallion, black as midnight, mane streaming like smoke, eyes ancient, fierce, free. He stopped. And Ember, she didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, then ran not away from Jesse, but toward something she'd always known was missing. Jesse stood frozen, hand on the fence, heart in his throat, not with loss, but with release. She ran, dust swirling, legs strong, head high, and when she reached the stallion, they turned as one, side by side, and vanished into the hills like a dream taking flight. And Jesse, he didn't cry. He breathed, deep, full, free. The weight wasn't gone, but it had changed, softened, become something he could carry. And just as he turned back toward the silent barn, a soft nicker stopped him. Inside, in the fresh straw, another foal. Tiny, thin, but alive, a note tied to its neck with twine, for the man who gives the lost a second chance. No name, no signature. Its grace returned. He knelt, gathered the little one close, felt that same fragile trust press into his chest, whispered, voice thick with wonder, "All right then, let's begin again." And out there, beneath the wide, forgiving sky, two lives once broken, once forgotten, were stitching themselves back together. Not despite the pain, but through it, because sometimes the deepest healing begins not with forgetting the wound, but with finding someone else who's bleeding, and choosing to kneel beside them. True redemption isn't found in erasing the past, it's in using your scars to shelter someone else's light.